Okay, so like I was telling you, my husband's family come up from LA, and they had lived here probably a few years. We used to do donuts real early in the morning. It was a real logging industry up here then, a lot of working people early in the morning. They used to open here about 6 in the morning. Well, my father-in-law, and this was in the late 70s, he used to get down here about 4:30 in the morning to roll the donuts. And one morning, it was middle of summer, so it was just before dawn, he got down and he heard this noise. And there's a lot of wildlife up here. There's mountain lions, there's bears, and you hear a lot of it. And he heard it was like a screaming, like an animal screaming. And he hadn't heard it before. He didn't know what it was. He says it's like the hair on the back of his neck stood up. He just heard it, and he's like 4:30 in the morning. And you know, like I said, I've mountain lions that will hop that fence. You know, I was camping in my backyard one night and I saw like an 80-pound mountain lion just looking at me, and it just hopped up right on. So he's like, it could have been, but he wasn't.
Is he from here or New Zealand?
He's from Los Angeles.
Oh.
He was the one that, you know, Baldwin Park.
Okay.
And so he didn't think too much more about it. He's kind of rolling his donuts. Well, a Forest Service guy, older guy, been working in the area for years, come in as soon as they opened, and he was just white as a sheet. And he didn't say anything. Still was upstairs. Okay. He didn't say anything, and he just grabbed a coffee and he sat down. He had another couple of customers in, and when there was no one in there, he came up to my father-in-law. He says, I swear I just saw Bigfoot. And they have a weir, which is a fish, like it's a fish counter. And he was down checking the weir first thing in the morning. That's what he did before he went over to the station. And he said when he got down to the bottom, which is just right down the river down here, he said he could smell the smell. And it smelled like almost like rotting flesh or something dead. And he says, God, what was that? And then he went down and he was just walking along the beach and he heard a noise and he looked up and there was a creature that was down on the rocks and it was mucking with something, like eating with a fish that had washed up. And it looked up and he looked at the same time, and that's what the noise was. The creature screamed like that, and that was the noise that my father-in-law heard up here. And the guy says he swears to this day that it was Bigfoot. He says he'd never seen anything like it. It was the smell, and he said that the animal wasn't aggressive, but it got a fright just like he did. Because it was busy eating, and he got up and it screamed, and he says he screamed too.
They scared each other.
Yeah, and the animal was never aggressive, but it looked up and then it took off running. And he says in the stance of it, he said it wasn't like anything he'd ever seen. And he didn't, you know, he was an older guy, worked here for years. He didn't tell too many people, but he says, I swear to this day, he says that was Bigfoot that I saw down there.
That was your father-in-law?
And that was the park ranger. He was telling my father-in-law.
Wow.
And he, you know, he never heard it. My father-in-law never heard it anywhere else around town. He doesn't think he told anybody else, but he says he was just pale as a ghost when he saw him walking off the river.